and bienvenidos to Pica Poco Kitchen. Today we're making mole. Not this one, that one. Vámonos! It's time to close September and Mexico celebrations and open up October in preparation for Day of the Dead, which is coming in November. And what better way to do so if not by introducing you to one of our most delicious national treasures, mole. From Nahuatl, mole, which means sauce, is another Mesoamerican recipe that has been developed through the years. Originally made with the mixes of seeds, tomatoes, chilies, and poured over meats like duck, armadillo, turkey, which later adopted different and new spices brought by the Spanish like anise, black pepper, clove, and was poured over the new meats introduced by the Spanish as well, like pork, beef, or chicken. Another wonderful recipe, rich in flavor, rich in history, and it has many, many different variations. This recipe that I'm doing today is my version of mole poblano. Puebla was one of the biggest or most important cities during the colony, and it is believed that the mole that was developed there was made or created by one of the nuns from the Santa Rosa convent. Her name was Andrea de Asunción. Each household will tell you that they have the best recipe for mole, and that's what happens. Everybody develops their own recipe and they are all amazing. So today I hope you like my version of mole poblano. It's gonna take some steps, but I'm gonna guide you through it. So let's get going. I'm grouping the ingredients depending on the cooking method that I'm gonna apply to them. So let's start with the peppers. We have 3 different kinds, or do we? Let me tell you about it. We're gonna start with 6 pasilla peppers. Pasilla is the dried version of a pepper called chilaca. We're gonna use 4 ancho peppers. Ancho is nothing more but a dried poblano, the one that you regularly get. And also, we're gonna use 6 mulato peppers. Mulato peppers is also a poblano, but a different variety, a darker and richer variety of poblano. So, we are going to clean them and devein them and deseed them like we always do, toast them, and then rehydrate it, but without simmering them. It's important also to keep those seeds because we're going to use them later. Let's start. Cut up your clean peppers and deseed them. Reserve some of those seeds for later. Put them on a hot pan, flipping them from time to time. You'll know they're ready when the skin starts to blister. Place all of your toasted peppers in a bowl with some boiling water. I like to put the 2 pieces of chocolate on top so they start to melt a little. Next, we're going to grill or char half an onion or 1 small onion and 2 Roma tomatoes. I keep my tomatoes whole to lose the least amount of water, but cut the onion in pieces for more charred surface. Now we're gonna fry the following ingredients: 6 cloves of garlic, 100 grams of peanuts, 100 grams of almonds. They can be unskinned, but I'm not willing to do that this time. 100 grams of sesame seeds, 100 grams of pumpkin seeds. I'm gonna use half a plantain because mine is quite substantial, but you can use a more average size plantain, two tortillas, and it should be a bolillo, but don't judge me, I forgot. So, two slices of white bread, and my enemies, my very despicable enemies, 100 grams of stupid raisins. I hate these dudes. I hate them with all my heart. And I'll let you know about my grudge with them while I fry them to death. So, let's go. There is no real order for frying, but I like to start with the plantain to give it time to cool down. Both the tortillas and bread act as thickening agents for the mole, but also provide a toasty flavor. Just make sure that the oil is hot enough so your bread doesn't absorb all of it. And here comes story time. I had never liked raisins. They're too sweet for me and they have a texture that I find unpleasant, especially when mixed with bread. They get gummy and gross and they look like flies without wings. I just don't like them. But my husband does. And the other day, a couple months ago, I decided to make bread pudding. So I added some on top of it so they would be easy for me to remove from my piece. When it comes to the molding, obviously the raisins didn't stuck to the bread and they all rolled around my kitchen floor. My dogs are worse than a vacuum. One of my dogs, Pinto, was faster than I and ate a whole bunch of them. It was late, no vet open, and I knew they were bad for them. But I decided to ask Dr. Google, and immediately was doomsday. According to Google, my dog was about to die and there was nothing to do. Fortunately, we had the poison hotline and we called them and they told us what to do to make him puke. Pinto wasn't phased or bothered. He was healthy as he could be, fortunately, and us, $80 poorer, started to research about raisins. It turns out that it is best to avoid them because some dogs might be allergic to them or react in a worse way, but they really don't know, they're not sure what is it about raisins that is toxic to dogs. Now, I am not an expert and don't take my word as an advice. But I'm pretty sure that my friend Andrea, the best vet in Arizona, he'll educate us in the comment with something wiser to say. However, you still should be very careful. So, if I hated them before, now I hate them even more. And they're prohibited in my house, except when the recipe calls for them, right? But I am extremely careful. Anyway, when it comes to frying your garlic seeds and nuts, keep them moving and take them out as soon as they change colors. The only thing that I would like to recommend is leave the sesame seeds for last since they are the smallest and they are harder to fish out. And for the aromatics, we're gonna toast the following spices: half a teaspoon of anise seeds or Spanish anise, cinnamon stick, 4 cloves, 1 teaspoon of whole black pepper. If you get pimienta gorda, then 5 will do. And half a teaspoon of coriander seeds. In my case, it's ground, so I'm using 1/4 teaspoon. Let's go. Lightly toast your spices in a hot pan by tossing them around for 1 minute. Then take them out, and if you wish, you can grind them in a spice grinder. Now that all my ingredients are ready, would be the moment where I would take out my metate and do it by hand. But unfortunately, I don't own a metate, so I'm gonna use the modern version of it, which would be a blender. I'm gonna use my blender, not my food processor, because of the quantity. I wanna give it room so everything gets mixed up. I'm gonna try to layer from wet to dry ingredients. So I'm gonna start with the banana, tomato, and so on until on top I'm gonna put my spices and my nuts, just to try to help the blender work. So let me get this thing blended and I'll see you in a bit. Once you have stacked the order that you want, add from 1 to 2 cups of chicken broth. This will help your blender work everything up without making it liquid. We don't want it in liquid form yet. Start slowly. Use your pulse setting if your blender has it. Clean with your spatula until you can go to puree. And you might want to do this a couple of times, giving breaks to your blender so you don't overwork it. Once we have a paste consistency, we're going to cook it in a little bit of lard. Also, we're going to season it. Before I put it in my pot, I'm going to pass it through a food mill. If you don't have a food mill, you can use a big sieve and then just put it in, mix it up, and scrape the bottom little by little, the same way you would do with the meal. So let me get my pot and my lard going, and let's cook this baby. Prep your pot with some lard and add your paste. If you're going to use your food mill on top of your pot, then turn the heat off while you do so. As you can see, the food mill caught a lot of the big pieces my blender missed. Something I would do differently next time would be to use a grinder attachment for my mixer and grind the nuts, seeds, and spices before blending with the rest of the ingredients. Taste and season accordingly. If by any chance you forgot to add the chocolate or you want to make your mole sweeter, you can add whatever you need at this point. Now your mole paste is ready. You can go ahead and prepare it or let it cool and put it in containers to store or to share. It would last up to 2 months in your fridge or even more, vacuum sealed in the freezer. When it's time to prepare it, add some of your paste and chicken broth over medium heat. Always have more broth than what you'll think you'll need, because the paste thickens quickly. It is up to you to decide the consistency. This is another good moment to adjust sweetness. I normally like to add a small piece of piloncillo or a quarter of a cup of brown sugar per batch. You can eat your mole however you like, but here are a few options. You can go classic, chicken with mole and rice. Don't forget to sprinkle some sesame seeds. You can have some enmoladas sprinkled with some cheese, a simple chicken with mole and rice taco, or my personal favorite, lightly fried chicken tacos with beans and mole. So these are the tacos that my dad used to have in his restaurant, and I haven't had this in a long time. So let's see how the mole turned out. It is really good. For my preference, it's perfectly balanced. Sweet, salty, just a little bit spicy. But this way, if you prepare the paste, then you have the option every time you make it to either make it sweeter or make it more chocolatey. Once you add a little bit to your pot and the chicken broth, then you can adjust with either a piloncillo, a little bit of piloncillo, or some brown sugar if you want to highlight the sweetness. You could add more chocolate if you prefer it, or you could just let it as is. So I hope you make it, and it's quite a big batch, so you can jar it and gift it to your friends, because sharing is caring. So I hope you share your mole just like this video. like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.